right? We have Aaron Douglas, early modernist, 1898 to 1979. The artist most closely identified with the spirit of the Harlem Renaissance, established the art department at Fisk University. He went to Lincoln High School in Topeka, Kansas. Philosophy. Douglas arrives when the new Negro art movement is in full swing. His mentors are Alain Locke and German artist educator Winnold Rice. Both urged Douglas to use his African heritage. Douglas studied African art in private collections. Douglas probably read one of the few books published about African art at the time, Primitive Negro Sculpture by Thomas Monroe. Winnold Rice, influential artist in painting, graphic design, interior design. German immigrant who arrived in 1915 to study Native American culture and became fascinated with African American culture, Jazz Age. Helped to define the visual arts of the Harlem Renaissance with his portraits of new Negroes and African-inspired designs. Douglas was strongly influenced by Winnold Rice's studies of racial types. Rice's dignified portrait studies of African Americans were in opposition to the widespread caricatures and stereotypes in American popular culture. Lane Locke, Zora Neale Hurston, James Weldon Johnson, Paul Robeson, and Matthew Hampton Du Bois, and John Toomer, and County Cullen. Which I love her hair, by the way, period. Rice was widely respected in Harlem. He was commissioned to do graphic design work for African American journals, magazines. Rice's visual interpretation of black musical traditions, interpretation of Harlem jazz, the one on the left here, and portrait of Langston Hughes, the one on the right. Douglas' position on the influence of African art. It would be absurd to take African sculpture and literally transplant it and eject it into Negro American life. We can go to African life and get a certain amount of understanding, form, and color, and use this knowledge to develop an expression which interprets our life. Douglas strived for balance between African roots and the Black American experience. Graphic arts, working class issues, socialist political themes were common in Douglas's graphic design work. Opportunity, a Journal of Negro Life, official journal for the National Urban League, a conservative civil rights group. Opportunity, the Macbeth Two Women. Right, we have the Crisis magazine. We have Fire, 1926. Books, playbills, posters. Douglas was the most sought-after book illustrator and cover designer among writers associated with the Harlem Renaissance. He took inspiration from Egyptian hieroglyphics and Egyptian drawings from the past and used them in his work. He develops a graphic style he names Egyptian form based on his study of Egyptian art. Figures and silhouette profile, eye rendered from frontal perspective, one tone color for the entire figure. This is also known as, this profile view is also known as the composite view or twisted perspective. The Emperor Jones series, Defiance, 1926, period. His most controversial work was making a cover for Carl Van Vechten, one of the white patrons for the Harlem Renaissance, the New Negro movement, who made a book or made a play. I think I don't remember what it was, but made no, it was a musical called Nigger Heaven, and that was a yikes. Tribal Woman, first book illustration for the New Negro by Alain Locke. 10 black and white drawings was in it. So we have God's Trombones, 7 Negro sermons in verse. Okay. Which will be on the right here. And then the crucifixion, which will be on the left here. Then we have Charleston. I love that purple color. We have murals. During the 1930s, Douglass embarks on a new phase of his career as a mural painter. Murals allow artists to address social concerns in public spaces. Douglass constructed complex panoramas that illustrated history, heritage of African Americans, style, restricted palette of mauves, browns, and other colors, blah, 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 aspects of Negro life, a panel series of 4 murals that Douglass completed in 1934 depicting Black American experience, beginning with life in Africa, the history of slavery, emancipation, to Reconstruction and the rebirth of African American culture. So first, we got the Negro in an African setting, which was focusing on the dance, the customs of their of traditional African cultures, were like in Africa, then well specifically in the West, by the way, and an idol of the Deep South is peaceful, serene. There's a lot of Africans, diasporic people just like communing with each other, hence idol. From slavery through Reconstruction, we obviously have the civil rights movement being illustrated here with Martin Luther King or a preacher figure in the foreground. We also have Song of the Towers, talking about migration to cities, dangers of urban life, influence of socialism, power of music, and cultural leadership. We have building more stately mansions, obviously inspired by Egyptian architecture. We have the Chain Gang, and we have the founding of Chicago. Then we have Aspiration. We have evolution of Negro dance. Right? Douglass also worked in a realist style. And here's some of those works: Window Cleaning and Alta.